Hey folks, welcome to Set Apart Homestead. As you can see, I'm not on the homestead. Doing a little traveling to try to keep my eyes down the road, so I won't be looking at you too much. Anyways, I watched a video a couple of days ago from another YouTuber that I have mentioned many times, and I'm sure most of you know who I'm talking about and probably subscribe to his channel because it's way bigger than mine. TJ over at Bear Independent, and the video is chess versus checkers or something like that, and I think it was probably one of the best videos he's ever put out that I've seen. He puts out a lot of good videos. So the first thing is, if you only have a chance to watch one video today, go watch his instead of this one, because his will be better. In a lot of ways, this is just kind of a video response to what he said, and partly is that I agree with everything he said. I don't know that I have a whole lot to add to it, other than the fact that one of the things that he talked about is that we as preppers get so focused on, or at least a lot of them do, and a lot of these YouTube channels do this, they get so focused on the gear that you're using or that you own, especially firearms, guns, that sort of thing. And while that's all important, I mean, you know, they're definitely important to protect yourself. Hold on, I'm passing. To protect yourself, they are not the most important thing. Right up here, and I've talked about this before in other videos, your mindset. That's the most important thing. You can have a $5,000, AR. You can have $10,000 of gear in your bug out bag. You can have a custom truck. You can have, 2 or 3 years supply of the best kind of food you can think of in your food storage. But if you don't have what it takes up here, you're probably going to fail. And I think that's a lot of what he was getting at in his video. That a lot of people look at this as a game of checkers, where it's very quick movements. It's looking at the immediate, of taking what we can immediately. And really, when it comes to long-term survival, it's a battle or a game of chess. That each little move may seem unimportant at the time, but they add up along the way. And what I mean by that is, don't always focus on the amount of money or even the amount of the things that you have, but also put a lot of focus on what you're learning, how you're developing your mind to get through these types of things, with whatever might be coming ahead of us. Whether it's a big apocalyptic scenario, or maybe it's just some kind of SHTF in your own personal life. You have to be mentally ready for that. You have to be mentally tough for that. And it doesn't matter what kind of cool gear you have, or what kind of cool knickknacks you have in your bag. If you do not have the mental capacity to survive that, and to think of all the ways that you have to survive, and to look at whatever disaster is going on in your life, and to try to see through it and think clearly of how to survive that, and the things that you need to do, and the moves that you need to make. If you cannot do that, then it doesn't really matter how much gear you have. It doesn't matter how much cool stuff you have. Gear it can help, it can improve things, but it's not the end-all be-all thing. So don't look at just, hey, I've got all this cool gear, I'm ready to go. Evaluate your mental strength. That is what matters. Evaluate how your heart, where your heart is, and where your mind is. That should be the first things that you are prepping. Prep your heart and prep your mind. Are you prepared spiritually? Are you prepared mentally? Are you prepared intellectually? Do you have the psychological strength to handle the things that could be thrown at you? If you do not have these things, then you should start putting all your time and money into that first. Yeah, you should be prepping food and equipment and supplies, certain things along the way. Everyone should. But if you neglect your mind and your heart and your psyche, the ability, which is the ability to handle what is thrown at you, the stress, the things that you and I might face in the future. If you are not preparing that part of you, then you're dooming yourself to failure. And I think too many times, I come from being prepared and prepping back when it was actually called survivalist. I started at a young age and was being taught by someone older than me. And back then, we weren't very popular. We were kind of looked at as kooks and crazies. And well, now prepping is actually pretty popular. There's all kinds of TV shows. There's whole companies geared to that. It's talked about openly and for the most part positively. The problem is that far too many people think of it like they do on TV shows or a video game. That it's just all about a bunch of cool gear that you get, the coolest guns, most high-speed this, and that, whatever it is. I mean, if you've got that stuff, then you're good to go. The old preppers, the ones that back when they called themselves survivalists, most of them didn't have that kind of stuff, because a lot of that kind of gear didn't even exist back then. They had old Army surplus stuff. They had stuff from World War I, even from World War II, back in that era. So they didn't have the coolest, high-speed, flashy gadgets. They had the mindset, they had training, they had mindset, they had the heart, they had the mental fortitude that they knew that no matter what they faced, they were going to get through it. Even if they weren't trained for that specific scenario, they had the mental training to know how to think through something. And that's the thing. You can go out there and you can train for different scenarios, but you can't train for everything. You can't learn enough to know how to deal with everything. So what you have to do is you have to train your mind so that whatever comes at you, you will be able to think through it. You will be able to figure out how to get through that scenario and how to survive through it. Even if you don't know the specifics, you have the strength in your brain muscles. I know there's no muscles up there, but the strength within you to get through that no matter what. And that is vastly more important than the cool gear, the cool toys, the little gadgets and stuff that's out there. And man, the market is just a flood of it. So my message today is, while it is important to have gear, supplies, and food, and all that kind of stuff, if you're not prepared here and in here, down in here, then you're missing out. You're already a big step behind. You've got to start with your mind and your heart. And if you haven't prepared your mind and your heart for what's going to come at you, regardless of how big it is or how small it is, then you're setting yourself up for failure. So start today prepping those areas, and get on over there to Bear Independent and watch his video, Chess versus Checkers. All right, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.